me back to when I was young. How come I'm never able to identify where it's coming from? I'd make a candle out of it if I ever found it. Try to sell it, never sell out of it. I probably only sell one. Maybe to my brother, cause we have the same nose, same clothes, homegrown, a stone's throw from a creek we used to roam. But it would remind us of when nothing really mattered. Out of student loans and treehouse homes, we all would take a ladder. My name's Blurry Face and I care what you think. My name's Blurry Face and I.
Hi, please check and subscribe. And go subscribe. And so, thank you. And so, for this to work, Deku Mom will be able to absorb like limitless types of quantum energy, and his dad can emit all kinds of energy, like all kinds, and so he still goes to work, and I'm gonna say that he's a top scientist of the physics of quantum energy and stuff, and he is like the CEO of the company, and that he has to go to like America, but he provides his family money, a large tons, so they'll be pretty rich. But he leaves and tells Inko, and he says, take care of my son. When he awakens his quirk, absorb it, because he will be very powerful. Because Deku actually will. And so she says, no worries, Yashi. And so he leaves. And so then when Deku's getting bullied at the age of 4 by the kids for not having a quirk, then when they start punching him, he's absorbing all of the energy. It's weird. And Deku's like, I don't feel anything. They're saying, why am I feeling weaker? And so then they keep on punching him and punching him. Then Deku screams, leave me alone, and pushes them all back. And then they go like, what just happened? We were just fighting a quirkless kid, and then he just blew us back. And so what happened was Deku was absorbing all their kinetic energy, because he can absorb energy, and he can also push it out. So when they did that, he just pushed it back out and just knocking them all out. And then the people told him, your son just took out like 5 kids in just one hit, I guess. And they said like there was just this huge blast. And then they said, well, the ground's breaking, Iko. Like literally, like the ground's shaking. It's like the whole city can feel it. It's just abnormal. And so when that happened, Iko comes, and then she just absorbs all of Izuku's energy that's building up, and Inko's like she broke a sweat. That's how much like Izuku had. And like she was like, whew, don't want that happening again. And so everybody felt it, and all the pro heroes started coming over to that area where they felt it. But it's fun. And Deku stops because he has he's done with his rage, and his mom absorbed all the raging energy that he put out. And his mom says, I have to get stronger to handle all this energy my son outputs. And so right now he has super strength and super speed, and he can make medium amounts of quantum energy come out his hands, and it can hit people. And so he does not go to the quirk doctor. He actually goes to a regular doctor and calls it the quantum force. And you're like, what's the quantum force? It's basically, they call it the quantum force because it's basically he controls quantum energy. He basically can have all the energy if you basically think about it. And so it's like the shock absorption from the Nomu, but he can put all that energy and push it out. Like he's like Deku's the perfect match for All Might because he basically has a nullification because he can push them back with all the energies he's building up, and later he will have the skin that Major Force had that was basically impenetrable and be invulnerable. But he's not gonna have it right now. He's gonna get training and training, and so the government talks to Inca because they don't want that happening again. Like everybody was scared because literally an earthquake came out of nowhere, and so the government said that it was just a regular earthquake to cover it up, but they were not having it with them. So they were like, listen, you either hand it up to the government to get trained, or you make him go homeschooled, and you use your money because your husband is the CEO of a big company. And so Inko just tells Hiyashi what happens, and Hiyashi gives them more, actually buying them a mansion and stuff. And it's near All Might, and All Might trains Deku. The government said that too. It says, we want the number one hero and some other heroes training Izuku to put his quirk under control. And Inko and them nodded to all that because they don't want her baby boy going to the government. And the government is bad. Like everybody knows that. Like in the US. And so he is really strong for a young person. Like he could defeat some small pro heroes. And so he trains with people like All Might, and when he hits 8, he can absorb a big ton of energy. And he can take 100% smash from All Might. And like how would he know? So Deku and All Might trains a lot. And so Deku says, punch me with 100% in the gut. And All Might says, are you sure, kid? I might kill you. And Deku says, I'll absorb it. And so right when All Might connects that punch in the stomach, Deku absorbs the kinetic energy and then pushes it out. And it's tons of kinetic energy. It's normal. It's really strong. And so he pushes All Might back like a mile because like he can output to the kinetic energy that he's taking in, but he has to, with 100% smashes, has to take it out right away until he gets his buff form, like that, like Major Force, but not like his build or like his thing. It's like that Deku that you see in the picture, but way more bulkier. It's like a mix of Major Force and Deku, basically, and so that's what happens. And so he just keeps on building his body to contain the power that he withholds. Because he has a bunch of energy. I mean, a bunch. If he could just explode a whole city easily. Easily. And not even like All For One could probably, well, All For One could probably do that. And All Might. But still. Like, he's just a basic nuke. He's a ticking nuke. And so that's why the government is literally watching over him. Because if Deku wanted to, he could destroy everybody. If he went full power, he could probably destroy the whole country. Maybe. But with that out the way, let's get back into it. So he can also shoot out a lot of energy via his hands. And they also have him take martial arts, the military kind, the government did, because they want him to be very strong and become a hero, to be like the strongest hero and protect everybody, because he has the power to, because his power is like the government knows that his power is beyond All Might's strength. So they just want him to be in the military, but Inko and Hiyashi said no. Like he's not being in the he's not being a military uh, weapon, you could say. And so, when he reaches 12, it can control a lot. And if he just goes rampage, Inko will just go to the school. And he goes to his old school. And he sees Katsuki, which is a girl in this one. Which and Katsuki is Bakugo, but it's a girl in this one. And so he says hi and blushes. And Izuku says hi too. And she blushes because he's so built. He's like really built, she says. Thanks. And so then they train a lot because she thinks he's very strong. And actually making Katsuki have a lot bigger explosions for some reason, which is weird. And so Deku says, well, you can eat one of the hottest peppers every day and just keep on just eating it. And so then your body will be used to making, sweating more and making bigger explosions. And she says, oh, that's cool. And so she tries it and it actually works. And when she does get it, and when they're like in like the beach area, she just wipes out a big chunk of it. And she says, oops. And so so it's the 8th grade year for them. And Katsuki starts acting weird around Deku for some reason. And always asking him to come over. And so he tells Deku's like, Mom, Katsuki's been acting weird lately. And Inko laughs, and this one, Inko is built her body build when Deku was a child. And so because she can contain all of his energy now, because she's built herself and she can take it. But if he punches her or anything, she can't just keep on taking punches and stuff. So she would have to just wrap herself around Deku and like hold him, and then she can contain all of it, but it would knock her out. And she yeah, that's what happens. And so she keeps asking Deku to go to her house, and so Deku sneaks out and stuff, goes to hers, and they have sleepovers and stuff. Not what you guys are thinking, I swear. And so Deku notices when he gets up and blushes and puts on his shirt. She tells Deku to lay down. We have 3 hours, Izuku. And so Deku lays down, gets up in 1 hour, says, I got to go. Like, literally, my mom wakes up any minute now. So she says, okay. And so then Deku just flies away. And yes, he does learn how to fly, because I believe he would, literally he would, because he can just push, like, he can make his energy go around his body now and just fly, which is pretty cool to Deku. He says flying's cool, and like he likes the breeze and the air and stuff when he's going by. And so he just goes to school and does the same thing with Katsuki. And so he kisses him on the cheek one day. He says, blushes and starts getting feelings for her. But then now it's the day of the sludge villain attack. Izuku shoots a big quantum blast at that sludge villain, and basically dead. But then All Might comes and picks it up and then when he's jumping away, he accidentally drops and it's like, oh no! And then his time limit is about to run. It's like, oh man, I have to land or I'm gonna die. And then so All Might lands, but then the sludge villain's loose. And so now Deku hears the explosion and runs over and sees Katsuki when he started getting feelings, he says, "No, like, won't let this happen." The ground starts shaking. People are like, "Another earthquake? We just had one recent, like 15 years ago." Because earthquakes are supposed to be like once every 100 years, I believe, or something, or like 50 years. But they're like, "What? This is abnormal." And then they see a kid running. And then the ground keeps on shaking. And then he goes up to the sludge, and the sludge tries to hit him away, but he absorbs it and pushes the kinetic energy out. And then he goes in for a 4 punch, making his fist go to the sludge villain, and then slams it into the ground. It slams the sludge villain to the ground, and then he lifts it up, and then with all his energy into his hands, chugs the sludge villain and go out of the atmosphere, and it looks like he goes to the sun, but it's just dead. It disintegrated in air from the atmosphere and from the speed it was going at, so it disintegrated. And people are amazed at Izuku. Actually, the heroes praise him this time for his bravery. But they also say, "Well, you shouldn't have did that if you didn't have a quirk. This could have ended out the wrong way for you." And Izuku says, "Okay." Off. No, not hero. Even though he knows that he could defeat that pro hero easily. But, anyways, he trains with All Might, and he trains with Katsuki like later, like near nighttime, and she actually because Miro doesn't need to do all that training on the beach. They asked the government. They like Izuku has the government's phone number, and so he calls him and asks him, "Can we use our quirks here and stuff?" And yeah, so Katsuki and Izuku training their quirks clear out the beach. So Izuku wraps his body in the like armor that Major Force has. That's basically impenetrable, and so he's building it, because he says, "I need to build this energy up, so it's my ultimate defense." And so he's building it up, and actually succeeds after 2 months, being able to have it permanently. And he says, "This is cool," and so he can just put a bit of its energy into it, just a little, and then it just makes that armor. Like, it's not like on his outside like Major Force has it. It's just like, it's armor, basically. That matches with his skin color, so you can't see it. And so in the day, he trains with Mirio for 10 months. And so when Izuku goes home, he is tired and sore. But he's getting, like, training 2 times a day and large training. And so Mirio gets 1 for all and gets 75%. And Deku can now handle 100% smashes. And like, how can Deku do that? His armor. It's so strong, and he can fly around them, and he now learned how to create weapons out of his matter, and so he's swinging an axe like a Momoshiki from Naruto, if you watch Naruto. And so he's really good with it. And so it makes Mirio back up. And Deku uses his super speed on his side too, being super fast. And so he's just he's an even match for Mirio. An even match. And so now it's the UA exams, and the government and everybody's like, "No, Izuku, you're getting a recommendation to UA." And Katsuki goes, and she destroys it. Like, when the 0-pointer goes up, she just knocks it out for fun. She just takes a pepper out of her pocket, and then she saves her rock. Of course, she's in Deku's place in this one, and she just says 100%. No, she says Howitzer Blast or something. And it tips the robot over. People are amazed at her strength. And she got 1st place. And people are impressed with her. And all the boys look at her a certain way, but she doesn't care for them weak chumps, she thinks. And so now it's UA. And guys, this will be a long part, by the way. And go to my Instagram, Nexus_Sonny. And if you haven't, please like and subscribe. And if you haven't, I don't know what's your problem, honestly. I make these videos. And if you're not subscribed, like, why? Why? But what, not like that. Like, please like and subscribe. And thank you for actually watching my videos. I actually like it, making videos. And so, like and subscribe, please do. And so thank you for subscribing, and this is like a mini 40-part special. I'm gonna say this is my 300 special. I didn't do a 300 special, so this would be like a 300 special if you think so. But let's get into it. So when Deku gets there, people's like, I didn't see him from the practical. And so then Todoroki goes up to Izuku and says, are you a recommendation? And Izuku actually nods and says, yes, I am. And Todoroki says, who recommended you? And Izuku says, the government and All Might did. And so Todoroki says, mine was Endeavor, the number 2 hero. And Deku says, cool. And so now Deku gets approached by Araka and says, how'd you get a recommendation from the government All Might? And he says, well, when I was a kid, I awakened my quirk and it made a earthquake. And so the government trying to make the public stir away from this. And so he said, so they made me get trained by pro heroes, All Might, Gran, like other, and some retired too, like Gran Torino. And so, and they made me learn military martial arts. And so they're like, so what quirk do you have? And he says, have you heard of the energy called quantum force? And they said, no, what's that? He says, I can basically absorb all energy, and I can output the energy that I take. So say you punched me in the gut right now, I would absorb it, and then I could fire it right back at you, making you fly across the class or maybe break through the class. And they said, and Kirishima, trying to act tough, says, okay, I'll give you my strongest punch, let's try it out. And so then he punches Deku, and then Deku says, you ready? And Kirishima says, give me your best shot. Like getting hardened up. And then he just flies across the classroom. And everybody's amazed. And Todoroki's like, then if I face him, I'll have to use my ice as some kind of shield or something. I'm not sure what I'll do against Izuku. I might even have to use my fire side. But he says, no, I'll never. Because my father ruined my life. And so then they go out. And when Deku's changing into his thing, Kirishima says, dude, you're jacked. And he says, thank you very much. And so then Mineta tries to peek and says, this time, Katsuki, Momo, and Araka, and that's the thing, Jiro, and Jiro gets upset and all that shenanigans. And so then when Izuku hears Mineta trying to peek on his best friend, he gets mad, and they hear and then they see a hole through the girl's thing, and see they see Izuku, and Katsuki knows that it's Izuku from his face, like peeking through, because they're literally peeking through to see, and they see Izuku with like a towel on his waist. No, not a towel, like his pants. Basically, you see his like 8-pack, and they're like, Izuku's hot. And so now there's a Izuku fan club, which Katsuki gets kind of angry at it, but she doesn't say anything. It's kind of sad because she says, Izuku hasn't talked to me for a whole week. Since after the UA entrance. Actually, 2 weeks. So she gets kind of sad. Starts tearing up when they're walking out. And Izuku says, what's wrong? She says, you haven't talked to me in 2 weeks. And Izuku says, sorry, Kachan. Well, not Kachan, Katsuki. And hugs her. And she says, never do that again, you idiot. And she lets off some explosions off her hands. And they just hug it out. And all the girls are getting jealous. And all the boys are getting jealous at Izuku. Because, I'm gonna have it. Katsuki's hotter than Momo. So she's the hottest. But let's get with the sappy out the way. It's the ball throw. So they call Katsuki out, and she says, die! And then it gets 1,000 meters because she has bigger explosions, and she actually used her trump card. She has 5 hot peppers in her thing, and so she eats one, and she says, and is sweating a bunch, and says, die, and it goes 1,000 meters. And so then Izuku, he calls up Izuku because, and he says, you think this is a game, and says, I will expel the person in last place. And so then Izuku walks up and he says, throw the farthest you can. And he says, okay. And so he says, can I run and throw? And Aizawa says, you have 5 seconds. And Izuku says, that's good enough. And so he goes, runs with the ball, a mile away. Not a mile, where All Might was. And then says, oh, hi, All Might. And then All Might says, huh? And then he just is jetting full speed. And Aizawa says, 3, 2. And then Izuku's there with all that kinetic energy, pushes it out, pushes it all into his hand, and says, 100% energy blast. And then there's just a streak of quantum energy just pushing out of Izuku, literally just making the whole UA building shake from the sheer strength. And then it literally goes past the atmosphere all the way to the moon, and then it lands back down, basically just disintegrated on the field. And so as I was just, oh man, and it gets infinity because it did. You know what? No. It puts a crater on the moon, I'll say, because it's not coming back down. It got disintegrated in the atmosphere. So it's infinity, because it would have just disintegrated or kept on going up in the atmosphere. And so people are amazed at Izuku's strength. And they say, if we get him mad, he'll kill the whole place. And so they don't mess with Izuku. He's a basic powerhouse. He's, like I said, a taking nuke. And so now he passes everything else. Speed beats Ida easily, 0.7 seconds. He has super speed. Grip test, he destroys the machine. He gets everything mastered. All the physical tests are easy work for Izuku. And so now it's the end of the What If. I know. And he also beats Momo, and Katsuki hugs him and says, good job, Izuku. And people are just getting jealous at Izuku. And he says, good job, Katsuki. And so they have a very inspirational moment. It's like in the overhaul fight. Yeah. You know what? I'm about to play a clip. Actually, be right back. Next is back. If it just got copyright striked, I swear YouTube like you're dumb, and Japan. But if it didn't, well, it's gonna stay on. But if it, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. Just look it up. Never let you go again. Easy. But that's it for this thing. Go to my Instagram, next to my Sonning, and then go to all my social media plugs. And I'll fill up in the description, so just look up Nexus Sonning on Discord and all that shabazz. And I'll do what you asked me for, like like my Discord. Just go to my Insta and DM me. I don't look. Please, please, please. Well, you have all that out the way.